Let me ask you something. When you were a little kid, what did 40 years old look like to you? I remember when I was a little kid, there was a game that I used to play with my friends back in the 90s, and there was this game called MASH. So MASH was this game where you would write down the letters MASH at the top of the page, and then you would write down categories. So there was a category for spouse, for car, for pets, for homes, and basically you would try to predict what you were going to get in the future. So you would write down 3 to 4 items, and then you would pick a number, and then you have to go around and tally off each item until you found out what your prediction would be. And this game was a lot of fun because I thought back then that I would be married to some celebrity crush that I had. I was going to have this Lamborghini, and of course I was going to get the mansion, the M in MASH. So it was mansion, apartment, shack, or house. And I just was so certain I was gonna have 3 kids and a pet, right? So that is what it looked like for me when I was a kid, because at that age, 40 years old was this picture perfect, stress-free life. But now at 40, my life looks very different from that childhood dream. I often ask myself, when did I get here? Because high school was literally yesterday. I can recall walking the halls of my high school. I can recall being on the track team. I can recall doing all the fun things on the bus with my friends and getting in trouble, right? When you turn 40, a shift actually happens. There's this realization that time is going by so quickly and you really just don't have time to waste anymore. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about 3 things that is important to know for you at this grown age. Number 1, you have to stop caring so much about what people think of you. This is essential at your age. You literally cannot care what people say. And I don't mean this in a harsh way. I don't mean we need to be rude or disrespectful to people, but you really need to own who you are. You have got to stop people pleasing and seeking the approval of others. This is the season where you want your yes to be yes and your no to be no. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that your no needs to be firm. I can recall so many times in the past where I didn't want to do something, but I felt obligated that I needed to say yes. I needed to show up in some capacity for this person. I needed to make myself available. I would oftentimes stretch myself way too thin, and you might struggle with that as well. But at 40, we are not doing that anymore. We are going to make our no firm. We are going to say phrases such as, sorry, I can't make it this time, or unfortunately, I have other obligations. Those phrases are perfectly fine to say, and there's no guilt behind it. The truth is you really just don't want to go, and that's okay. On the flip side, there are probably some things that you want to do, that you want to say yes to, but you're too afraid because you care about what people are going to say. You might want to host a pop-up shop, or you may want to run a 5K or launch a new business, but you're so afraid of what are my family going to say? What are my friends going to say? What are people going to think? But at this age, you really just don't have the time to care about what they're thinking because you don't have the time to worry about it. So if you want to run that 5K, even if you haven't worked out in a very long time and you set your mind to do it in 6 months, then go ahead and do it. Do not consult anyone. As long as God put it in your heart to do it, go ahead and do it, because you will have regrets if you don't do it or someone else talks you out of it. At this age, you have to learn how to move in silence. You have to learn how to move in such a way that you don't need the validation or approval of anyone else to do the things that you need to do. The second thing that you need to focus on at this grown age of 40 are relationships. Relationships are so important and they matter so much in this season. So relationships look different at 40 than they did at 20, than they did at 30, right? A lot of the relationships you're going to have in this season are going to look a lot different because you're not going to have as many, but they will be a lot deeper. You will see it's not the quantity that matters, but the quality of the relationships. So you want relationships that are going to help you to grow in this season. You want relationships that are going to push you to be better, that are going to sharpen you, that are going to make you want to get to the next level. Those are the types of relationship you now desire in this season. Because in your former life, when you were in your 20s, when you were in your 30s, when you were growing up, there were two categories of relationships that you probably had. And those categories are history and proximity. So you have your historical relationships, right? You have those relationships that you probably knew these people from a very long time, whether it's family, childhood friends, someone you went to school with. These are the relationships that were built in because of just the historical context, right? Because of your history with them. And then there's that other group, which is proximity. You may have been friends with people because they were your coworker or your neighbor. The reality is a lot of your relationships will not make it to the age of 40. People are going to drop out of your lives for whatever reason. You may have moved. Sometimes people just drift slowly away. Sometimes relationships are severed because of hurt or hardships. So relationships in this season are gonna look a lot different than they did in your 20s and 30s. What you need to desire in this season are deep relationships that are gonna push you forward. Relationships that have value, that have meaning, that have purpose. Those are the relationships that you really want to have in your life. The third and final thing that's important is your career and purpose. Career and purpose can change so much throughout your life. But when you're 40, you're now at a place where you're like, do I want to continue in the career that I'm in, or do I want to try something new? For some people, they're building on the foundation they've already built on. So for example, let's say you're a food truck owner and you now decide, I want to build on this and now open a restaurant. That is something that is phenomenal and amazing that you can do at this age. And there are some other people who just do a complete 360 career change. They are going from being a nurse to now being a content creator. So there's so much different things you can do in your 40s, and it's exciting because you're not really limited and you really are at a place where you don't care anymore. You're just like, what do I have to lose in this season? 40 is the perfect time to ask yourself, what do I actually want to do in this next chapter of my life? I know I want to have impact. I know I want to do something different, but what do I actually want to do? And that might mean that your career and your purpose are two separate things, but you should always go after it wholeheartedly. So here's what I want to leave you with. Being 40 may not be what you envisioned as a child. Your relationships, your career path, your character may all be very different. What actually matters is you owning this season of your life and living life to the full. You want to become the best version of yourself and not live life with regrets. If this video resonated with you, I want you to hit the like button. And I also want you to drop a comment in the comment section. Tell me, what does life look like for you in your 40s? What does life look like for you in this season? Are you celebrating new accomplishments? Are you trying new things? Are you saying no to things that you need to say no to? Please drop it in the comments. Let me know. Also hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you in the next one.